River City Girls 2 was announced near the end of 2021 during a December edition of Nintendo's Indie World Showcase. I had been interested in trying the first game out for a while at that point, so I decided that the sequel was worth keeping an eye on. And then a couple months before the release of River City Girls 2, I ended up playing and loving the first game, and so naturally my passing interest in the sequel evolved into full-blown anticipation. Let's see if River City Girls 2 was able to meet my expectations. I feel like straight away, one thing I should specify is that I played River City Girls 2 solo. That doesn't change a whole lot, but the 2D beat-em-up genre is one that typically encourages couch co-op, so I figured that I should specify where I am coming from. With that out of the way, I had a great time playing this game solo. Feels like how you would expect if you played the first game. Your moveset consists of a pool of light, heavy, and special attacks that all gain additions as you level up and buy more moves at the dojo. This time there are a total of 6 playable characters, with the 4 returning protagonists being unlocked straight away. It's sort of amusing. Everyone is fully voiced, but if you play as anyone else, it's still very clear that the dialogue was written with Misako and Kyoko in mind. Aside from the new characters to play as, one of the additions to the combat that I really enjoyed was the launch move. This move causes your character to follow your adversary after you smack them airborne. I feel like this was a very solid addition, as once I unlocked it, I felt like the combo potential at my disposal was game-changing. The game does a good job at making each of the characters feel distinct from one another when you are playing, which is impressive since they largely control the same way. It just feels like some of them are better at certain things than others. For example, Kunio felt like his moveset comboed together really nicely. Kyoko felt like she was better in the air, and Marion felt like she had special moves that were better for crowd control than the others. That being said, each character's base stats all seem to be the same if they are the same level, so it may just be the illusion of difference rather than anything tangible, but if it was just visual flair, it was still really well done visual flair. River City Girls 2 is much denser than the first game. There are new areas to go and visit, and the areas that are revisited from the first game felt like I got to see much more of them this time around. The level design moment to moment also feels like there's much more going on, more spots to jump onto, and substantially more environmental hazards to make use of. There were even more side missions to partake in that for the most part managed to be interesting enough to get me to do them, though I could have done with maybe one fewer game-wide scavenger hunt. Overall, I would say that the way River City Girls 2 plays is an improvement from the first game. That being said though, when I finished the first game, I had made note of a few things that I thought would be slam dunks for a sequel to improve that were not present. For example, I found that double tapping the D-pad to be able to run was kind of cumbersome, and I thought it would be better served as a button to press or hold. One of the other things was that for as much as I liked mixing up who I was playing as, the fact that the inactive characters only got a residual piece of the money and experience that the active character was obtaining discouraged me from changing up who I was using later on in the game. I realize that's probably to encourage you to change it up when you play through the game the next time, but I personally still think it would have been cool if the switch between characters was something a bit more seamless. Even something like what River City Girls 0 did, where you could change the active fighter on the fly, would have been rather neat. None of this stuff ruined my experience by any means. In fact, I was having such a good time throughout my playthrough that I made peace with these nitpicks pretty quickly. It just serves as something to maybe keep in mind for a third game. River City Girls 2 picks up pretty much immediately after the end of the first game. Longtime Kunio series villain Sabu breaks out of prison and his Yakuza syndicate begins running amok all over town. This pretty succinctly ups the ante from the Wild Goose Chase story of the first game. The story of the game is by no means a narrative masterpiece, but it is really good at doing what it is supposed to. That is to say, it engineers fun and wacky situations for the endearing cast to get into. The presentation of River City Girls 2 is probably the strongest thing about it. Everything from the art style and character designs to the music and voice performances are all absolutely top-notch. Starting with the art, the character designs in this game are exceptionally striking. Everyone looks good, whether it's as the pixel art sprite, dialogue portrait, or in the manga scenes. The environments, new and old, all looked good as well, and did a great job at making River City feel like a much more lived-in place this time around. The voice performances bringing the population of River City to life go a long way in making this menagerie of denizens memorable. Kaylee Mills and Kira Buckland return as Misako and Kyoko respectively, with their chemistry as a duo being as amusing as ever. Erica Harlacher and Destiny Parker do a lovely job at portraying the two new playable characters, Marion and Pruvi. Todd Habercorn does a great job at portraying Ken's very punchable smarminess, and then even down to the more ancillary characters such as Cowrie, Williams, and Snap. They all had portrayals that I find memorable or endearing. The music in River City Girls 2 is nothing short of excellent. Composer Megan McDuffie knocked the score out of the park. There's such a wide variety of cool sounds, from energetic electronic, synthy fight music to more ominous and dark sounding area themes. Even the hideout music was amusingly bouncy when paired with the visual of seeing the army of recruits chilling out in Kyoko's house while her mom just dances around. Songs from the first game also make a return and are arguably used better in this game in certain cases. Getting to hear Unseen for more than one screen was rather pleasing. The new vocal songs in this game serve as a nice contrast to the old ones. Whereas songs like Unseen and If You Dare were more brooding and ominous, the vocal tracks in this game perfectly capture the energy of the area's given boss. Songs such as Better Than You, You're Like, and Feel the Heat are all boastful and over the top in a manner that is as distinct as the characters that they are describing. I think the nicest thing I can say about River City Girls 2 is that it has raised my general interest in other games like it. Before I had only really dabbled or played all the way through a few 2D beat-em-up games, but now I am far more interested in trying out some of the others, be it the classics of years previous, or some of the newer throwback titles to come out more recently. And that's all because this game and its predecessor won me over. River City Girls 2 is a fun and wacky ride that earns my recommendation with style. The larger map and improvements on the combat are elevated that much more by the game leaning into the personality and presentation that makes the world of River City so enticing.